So what we deliver, what we help organizations with is a mechanism, a methodology to start having conversations around cybersecurity in a far more meaningful and a business language way, as opposed to the current day conversations which happen between the technology folks from the cybersecurity side and the business folks from obviously the business side, right? We are attempting with our efforts to bridge these two efforts, to bridge these two worlds, the business world and the technology, so to say, the cybersecurity world. Right? And this is just not what is our learning from the perspective of our engagements with those 230 customers I spoke about. We worked with one of our partners in the US. The partner is called Focal Point, and they did an independent survey. They deal with only Fortune 200 customers, and they did a survey with 65 of their top 200 customers. And they realized that there is a huge disconnect between the boards of the organizations and the cybersecurity organizations within the organization on the potency of the organization's cybersecurity program. So more than 50% organizations, in more than 55% organizations actually close to that, is there exists a strong disconnect between what the CISO believes is a cybersecurity program strength and potency versus what the board feels. And our conclusion of this problem is that this is not a technology problem. This is not a technical problem. And yes, it has taken the avatar of having a fear-based conversation, but actually the solution would lie in a very fundamental conversation around measurement, because you really cannot fix what you cannot measure. And if we pick up any industry vertical and any business function, everything runs on measurement except cybersecurity. And to solve and to kind of take pole position to solve this problem, which has been the problem of cybersecurity industry ever since its inception in the last 40 odd years, is the reason why we developed this product, which is acronymed as Security Assessment Framework for an Enterprise. And what we deliver by virtue of this product is, for the first time in the history of cybersecurity industry, a platform which is, first of all, it kind of fulfills these 4 tenets, which I'm going to spend about 30 seconds on each one of those. It is the first platform in the cybersecurity space which is an enterprise-wide platform, which means that when we look at cybersecurity posture of an organization, we look at the entire enterprise. We don't look at a sample set. We look at whatever is called as technology inside the organization, whether it is endpoints, whether it is servers, whether it is applications, whether it is storage devices, whether it is middleware, whether it's databases, you name it. So we have a full view of the entire organizational technology landscape. That's the first value that we bring on the table. The second value we bring on the table is that the outcome of our product or our engagement with the customer is objective. And I'm just going to talk about that in a bit in the next slide. The third thing is that we are the only platform on the planet which actually marries the people, process, and technology and business context elements into a single pane of glass. Because if we look at from a customer's perspective and we think risk, then for a customer, it doesn't really matter whether a breach was a result of a technology problem or a process problem or a people problem. A breach is a breach is a breach. Obviously, it resides on 4 pillars. For a breach to become successful, there can be a technical cause, there can be a process cause, there can be a people cause, there can be a business context cause. So from a customer standpoint, it is important to understand in a very simplistic way that all of these things put together, can I unify all these things together and understand my cyber risk in the form of a simple input? So that's what we provide. And while you could go ahead and get the first 3 values from other parties in the market, you could talk to technology companies, you could talk to Big Fours and get them to do a 7-month activity and submit you a 700-page report on your cyber posture. What the final thing that we bring on the table, which is the real differentiator, is that we are a continuous dashboard and a continuous platform. So the customers who leverage us today, they can actually tell their cyber risk posture in real time. They can say, right now, I know what is the risk I'm sitting on. So the platform actually provides for a quantified output to measure the cyber risk that an organization is sitting on. That is the first thing for which a customer would pay us money. And the second reason is that not only we give a quantified output for measuring the cyber risk that you're sitting on, the tool also provides actionable insights to the customers to mitigate the cyber risk that they're sitting on. Right? So this whole approach comes together and is represented on this page here, where we look at assessing through the product called Safe Enterprise, we look at assessing the internal technology of the customer organization. And this is where we answer questions like, how much trustable are your endpoints in the context of cybersecurity? How much trustable are your applications? How much can you trust your people, your servers and your storage devices and your databases and so forth? And then we look at your cybersecurity product deployment, your cybersecurity landscape, and help answer how much trustable are your cybersecurity products? How trustable are your third parties with whom you are collaborating? So if you are working with 500 third parties who are coming into your network to do business with you, how much can you trust them? Right? How much do you trust their cybersecurity posture that they are not bringing risk into your organization? So this is how we look at technology. Then we do an assessment of the people, all the employees in the organization. And we help answer questions around how trustable are the employees in the organization. And finally, we look at the processes. And when I say processes, I refer to all the policies, all the compliance standards, the global standards like an ISO or PCI, or the local standards and regulations like a SEBI compliance or an RBI compliance or an IRDA compliance, likes of those. We pick up information by doing assessments from all these elements, and we eventually ascribe a score to every element. So we would give a score per laptop, a score per application, a score per firewall, a score per EDR tool. We'll give a score per third party, we'll give a score per employee, and a score per policy. Eventually, what the customer gets to see is a score on a scale of 0 to 5, where a score closer to 0 represents the higher likelihood of a breach attempt becoming successful in the organization, and a score closer to 5 represents a situation where it is far more difficult for a breach to become successful in that organization. So we have actually brought the element of quantification of the cyber risk that an organization is sitting on by devising this whole methodology and this scoring model, this scoring formula, which is based on standards, has validation from academia like MIT, has validation from industry, like from insurance providers, who will actually charge you a premium for a cyber insurance policy that you want to go and buy based on the safe score that you have. So if you have a higher score, they'll charge you a lower premium. And today we have a list of Fortune 200 customers who have actually gone ahead and deployed our tool in their environment. So well-validated methodology, which brings a quantification of the cyber risk for a customer organization. Now, what does this mean for a customer? What does it mean to have a score of 0.5 on 5 or 3 on 5 or 2.8 on 5? What does that really mean? The first meaning of this score is that this score now becomes the standard definition of cybersecurity, the quantified, simple business definition of cybersecurity for the entire internal team in the organization, for the board of the organization, and for the stakeholders like your customers, your insurance providers, your shareholders, and your regulators. And the second outcome for a customer organization is that now you start seeing a score for anything and everything in your organization. So you see an overall score, safe score for the organization. You see a safe score per business unit. You see a safe score per IP address. whether that IP address is hosting an application or a desktop or a storage device or a router or a switch or a firewall. You start seeing a safe score per employee. You start seeing a safe score per third party. You start seeing a safe score per information security policy that you have in your organization, and so forth. So these are the two outcomes that are there for a customer, largely encapsulated in the purview of quantifying the cyber risk, because now everything is a number. The lower the number, the higher the risk. So today, if you could pick up your organization's balance sheet and look at the last 4 years' numbers and figure out in 5 minutes that whether the organization is on a growth path in terms of its financial health, or is it not on the growth path. In a similar way, if you pick up the safe score of an organization for the last 4 years or 4 quarters, if the safe score is going up, therefore it means that the organization's cyber health is increasing, or in other words, the organization's cyber risk is reducing. So this is what we bring on this table for the customer. Now, coming back to the topic of our conversation, this is great, fantastic, but how does this change the game? Really, in real, tangible, meaningful way, what do you mean that the game of cybersecurity is changed? So I will, for a moment, take you back to this slide which I talked about, where organizations have products, but they still get compromised, and organizations do not have answers to these questions. And now I'm going to share with you our perspective that how do we change the game? So now how the game gets changed is that now the CISO organization or the technology organization in the company can start having conversation with their peer group and their leadership, which are quantifiable conversations, meaningful business language conversations around people, process, technology, and overall organization's cybersecurity health. Because you have a dashboard view and a near real-time continuous view, you know at any point of time, how are my people contributing to the cybersecurity health of the organization? How is my technology stack contributing to the cybersecurity health of the organization? The technology team can start talking to the GRC team and say that, okay, if these are the policies and processes that we have defined to govern our information security and information technology in line with the compliance requirements of our business, then whether those policies and processes and controls are actually aligned to our compliance objectives or not. And these conversations can be done not only at a high level, this can be drilled down to any level of granularity that an organization would like to go in for. Like, for example, a bank in south of India, the chief operating officer of the bank, the only 3 things important to that persona are the risk associated to the ATM infrastructure, the risk associated to the core banking infrastructure, and the cyber risk associated to the internet banking infrastructure. So what we have done for that bank and for that persona is we have created a dashboard like this, where there'll be only 3 entries: ATM infrastructure, core banking infrastructure, net banking infrastructure. And through a spider chart over a period of time, now she runs her risk committee meetings with she used to run a 2-hour-long risk committee meeting with no outcome. And today, the risk committee meeting is kind of wound up in like 15 minutes with very clear accountability, very clear actions, and very clear progress and very clear visibility of the progress. Whether on these 3 important attributions of risk that are important to the bank, how are the various elements faring? Similarly, the conversations change from feeling and weather and climate-based conversations to temperature conversations. How much did I reduce my risk by on the top 10 threat landscapes exposed to our business? So a CISO can now go and have conversations around with his leadership and his organization that I've reduced my organization-wide threat exposure by 67%. And views can be given in a very tangible and a prioritized way with actionable insights as to if there are 1,000 places where vulnerabilities exist in the organization, and which will always exist because that's the world that we live in. That's the construct of the whole industry that we are part of. So it's not that the vulnerabilities will ever get over. But then, if an organization has 25,000 assets, and if a vulnerability assessment report calls 24,733 as some places where immediate action has to be taken, and the problem there is that in every organization, the cybersecurity capacity and competence both are premium, right? Both are limited. So you really need not a technology view, but you need a risk-based view wherein an intelligence not only looks at what are the technical exploitable vulnerabilities that exist in my organization, can I also get a view that which are those vulnerabilities out of these 25,000, which if get compromised or if get exploited, I will have the greatest impact. So therefore, the tool that we have, SAFE as a tool, not only gives you the risk at every asset and every process in your organization, it also provides a remediation recommendation and remediation guidance in steps on how to go about mitigating that risk. So all you need to do now is to pick up your operations team comes into the office in the morning. They get a view of top 10 failing assets and top 10 failing controls, where a compromise will have the highest impact in the organization. And they get on their job patching or reconfiguring those particular assets or those controls and start improving the risk posture of the organization in real time, which is again visible by virtue of the score continuing to go up from where it is to where you'd like to take it. And finally, the icing on the cake is something like this. Imagine you are the CISO of an airlines company in the country. How would you like to be in a position to go and tell your leadership that while you are justifying your cybersecurity budget or the performance of your team, that if the attack which brought down British Airways, if that attack had come my way, last year, there was a 72% likelihood of us getting compromised because of that attack. But today, because of the projects that I executed from the budgets that I was allowed, the susceptibility of my organization to that same threat or that same risk is only 25%. And then you can further classify this 25% towards whether it's a financial impact, whether it's a regulatory impact, or whether it's a reputation impact. And then take advised calls, far more informed calls, whether you would like to spend $10 to solve a $2 problem if it's only financial risk, or completely reprioritize your perspective on cybersecurity spend if it's a regulatory or a reputation risk. So this is how we are able to change the game of cybersecurity from a completely effort-based conversation to a completely outcome-based conversation, from a purely reactive conversation to a purely proactive conversation, from something where there is no justification of a spend, from something where the spend is approved basis of performance which has been delivered over a period of time. With that, I'll come to my last piece, that what is it really about Lucidius and Progressive together? So I believe I'm very proud to share that what we bring on the table for this customer audience is a joint solution wherein what Lucidius brings on the table is an AI and ML enabled platform called SAFE, which proactively looks at the loopholes in the cybersecurity posture of an organization, does an assessment, and provides a quantified and a measurable output which represents the risk in the form of a number on a scale of 0 to 5. That's where we are today. In due course of time, we are working to enhance our scoring model to be able to start also ascribing that number to a real dollar value risk that an organization is sitting on. So that we should be able to go and tell an organization that you are sitting on a $400 million risk, or you are sitting on a $20 million risk. How would you like to, what is the spend that you'd like to make to kind of reduce that risk to whatever is acceptable to you? And what Progressive brings on the table is industry-leading cybersecurity services. They have a very, very heavy reach across the country. They are one of the largest partners in the country in the context of having a reach to all the nooks and corners of the country. And our offering is a highly services-dependent offering because the whole game is about knowing what score you are at right now and then increasing the score. And that's where Progressive has a very, very significant role to play. But from a customer's perspective, what you get in the combination of Lucidius and Progressive is an innovative, cutting-edge cybersecurity solution, which is coming from a startup. And startup is a startup. But then, as a customer, you need to live a journey, and that is where the partner like Lucidia, like Progressive, who are an established 30-year-old company, they have the maturity of handling largest customers in the country, and they are equally sensitive towards the smaller ones. So that's what we bring together, and I believe that these are the common values that we can bring to your table, and this is what I believe genuinely that really makes us worthy of your trust. Because as a customer, you are not so interested in buying one more firewall. You are actually interested in protecting your organization from the cyber risk that you are sitting on. And what is of real consequence to an organization is have this organization-wide visibility of what is the risk metrics that we are sitting on, right? And you need a partner who can actually totally transform the cyber culture of your organization. So between Lucidius, which brings the tool, and Progressive, which brings the necessary services around it, necessary professional services around it, we have what it takes to actually help you change the whole cybersecurity culture of the organization. Because we are addressing it not only from a technology and a process perspective, one of the most innovative things that we have been able to do is to also figure out a mechanism how we can include people into the cybersecurity conversation and ensure that at any point of time, you are absolutely clear that where are the people-oriented risks sitting in your organization. And it's all available in the form of a number, right? And so these are value additions which I, in my limited 13-year cybersecurity sales experience and, interacting with some very, very prominent customers and some very matured customers who, I have never been able to be in a position where I can go ahead and look at the customer in the eye and say that, I'm delivering a cybersecurity outcome to you. One of my senior pre-sales persons, he runs Singapore for us, and he likes to mention this, that in life I have deployed 300 firewalls. But I only know that I have deployed 300 firewalls. Whether they are really adding any value to the customer's infrastructure, I do not know. So that's how we believe that as a combination of Lucidius and Progressive, we can really change the cybersecurity game. We have been doing it for the last 3 years. This product has been in the market. We have now a number of Fortune 200 customers. We have large telecoms. We have large banks and financial services institutions. We have a lot of customers as part of our portfolio. So we have about 20 customers that we have onboarded over the last 3 years. And we'll be very happy to have an opportunity to engage with you, with your organizations, further, and drive future conversations and help you achieve outcomes from your cybersecurity landscape. That's all I had. Ajit, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for a very interesting and insightful presentation. So now we will open the floor for questions, and we can make it interactive. So I can begin by asking my friend, who is the CIO for InfoEdge, a very respected organization into information services. So Alok, I just wanted to know your insights, any comments you'd like to make, any perspective you'd like to share, because I'm sure that we here would like to learn from your experience. What do you follow? Comments, suggestions?
I think the product looks to be interesting. I think we have utilized similar products as well. I think our security team is definitely utilizing that. But I think it would be good to go ahead and understand what more here we have on the table. I can basically have my security team look into that aspect, because I think that's headed by a different person. So I think it would be good to go ahead and have some more interactions around this to understand it better.
We'll do that, Alok. So thank you for showing the interest in this particular product from Lucidius Technology. Progressive and Lucidius will work together with your CISO and your security team as you suggested. So thank you very much for this opportunity, Alok. So now I would like to go to our another important and interesting enterprise. I would like to request Puneet Rastogi, who is the CIO for Orient Electric. So Puneet, any comments, any suggestions would you like to make? We'll be happy to learn from your insights also. Over to you, Puneet.
Yeah, so thank you, Ajit, for inviting us. It's a nice presentation, a lot of insights we have got. I also have my colleague Unique in this call, so I would like Unique also to comment on this. It's a nice presentation, and thank you very much. Unique, over to you.
Thank you. We really appreciate your presence. Thank you for your valuable time, and you are our very valuable customer. We thank you for your presence. So, Unique, any questions you would like to ask or comment as Puneet has suggested, please feel free to ask. We'll be happy to listen to you and share our perspective. Harmeet is here. You may like to ask him any questions. Okay, I think Unique possibly is not available. We can connect with him later. That's fine.
Yeah, sure.
All right, that will do that. So thank you. And also we would like to now give an opportunity to Mr. Chandar Rao. He is from FinCare Small Financial Bank. So Chandar, any inputs, suggestions, observations, anything you'd like to share?
See, we have used the Lucidius services couple of times, and I also use their safe application on my mobile. As I understand, Lucidius team has given the demo of their enterprise product to our CISO. Now we are at the final stages of implementing all the InfoSec tools across the enterprise. This is interesting. I have some idea about this product and the company. Now, they are tied up with Progressiveness. Maybe we want to understand, how you can effectively offer this solution to a small finance bank like us in a very cost-effective manner. Maybe in the months to come or weeks to come, we'll call you for a discussion.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chandar. We'll certainly do that. Our team will be in touch with you and happy to add value to your enterprise. So I think Lucidius team and Progressive collectively, we will co-create success along with you. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
So now, any questions are there? We can, leave open the forum. Anybody has any question, please feel free to type in or ask. We'll be happy to listen to you and address those as well.
Yeah, Ajit, Sandeep here. Mr. Prashant from Suzlon is also here. Maybe we can hear him also on the feedback.
Sure. Yes, sure. So Prashant, welcome. Happy to have you on this forum. Any questions, any suggestions, Prashant? Happy to listen to you too. Any insights with your vast experience, Prashant? Maybe. Prashant, are you able to hear us? Anything you would like to? You're on mute, Prashant, if you wish to comment. All right, so I think maybe he will come back. Sumesh Jha, any questions? Sumit Rana, any questions? Sumesh? Well, if anybody has any question, kindly feel free to use the chat box also while other speakers are giving their perspective.
Yeah, hi, Sumesh here.
Yeah, Sumesh. Any questions you have?
Yeah, actually, I've gone through, but I've joined in between. So let me get some more insight with Bhavik on this. We'll come back to you, but it's a good solution actually. What has been presented, it is the need of the hour of the current scenario and the situation which is there in the market. So I think this is going to be very helpful. Though in not on immediate basis, but in a quarter or so, we may also look at this kind of solution.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think I'm quite sure that as a company, your company HRPL is investing in technologies. We will be happy to work with you. HRPL Restaurants is an important customer for us. So thank you for your participation and happy to know that you will be exploring this solution in future.
Surely, Ajit.
Thank you very much. All right, so Najmul, over to you if any more questions are there. Otherwise, we can conclude in next couple of minutes as per timelines.
Yes, I think we can conclude. So we have a minute now. So I will request everyone to just fill in the form that I will paste in the chat box for your kind feedback.
So it's an online feedback you can share, which will help us to architect our next program, which is relevant to business, which will make you much more successful from new perspective and insights. We believe in actionable insights, which means that any seminar we do, immediately after that meeting, all CXOs should be able to implement one or two things in their enterprise. And I must also welcome you to our next seminar, which is being called as Progressive Thought Leadership Seminar, which is going to be held in end of August, wherein we are bringing industry stalwarts who will come and speak, and they will share how they have secured their enterprise, how they have scaled their enterprise in today's vulnerable, complex, and ambiguous world. So I think Najmul will be working on that, and will be extending our invite for Progressive Next Thought Leadership Seminar as well. And I'm sure that we will make this community a very robust community, which will really thrive and grow together by supporting each other in terms of ideations and implementable solutions. Thank you very much. Najmul, over to you.
Yes, I think we can conclude now. So we have concluded in time. Thank you everyone for your participation. Thank you, Ajit sir. Thank you, Harmeet sir. And thank you everyone. So I think we will conclude now. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Have a great day and
you.
stay safe. Thank you very much.
Bye.